Hello, ladies. This is Janice here, and welcome to this week's edition of In Between Rounds. I am coming at you from Turtle Lake, Saskatchewan, and I wanted to talk to you this week about a common issue that I feel a lot of you are having, and that is when you are not actually able to feel the exercise. And this is something that can vary from person to person. Some people just don't feel anything at all, or maybe you're someone who is unable to feel the exercise where they're supposed to. Maybe you're feeling it somewhere else. So, for those of you listening to this, just ask yourself: if this is something that has ever happened to you? And I am curious. Let me know in the comments what you try to do to help this. So, is this something that you maybe you avoid that exercise because it just feels like it isn't working for you, or do you continue to plug away, just hoping that eventually you'll feel it? Or have you sat and done some of your own problem solving to try to make sure that you are feeling it where you should, or contracting the proper muscles? So let us know what you've done, and I'm here to give you 4 things that we can consider when trying to feel the exercises. So the 4 things you need to think about is you have to consider how fast you're moving. Secondly, you have to consider how much or how you are moving. Third, you have to consider how much weight or how much of the load you are using. And then finally, you have to consider whether the muscles you are trying to target are even able to contract well in the first place. So I want to break down each one of these. So first of all, speed. And most people move too fast. So I think most of you know this, because whenever I am taking you through a workout, I know that I am moving slower. I am counting slower than you normally would. I do that on purpose because I am trying to slow you down, and I am trying to make the workout a little more challenging, but it's also to show you some of the difference of what will happen when you slow it down. Okay, I know a lot of people, when they're on their own, they're just trying to get it done and go through the motion, and this may not allow you to have that control through every inch and every millimeter of that motion that you're performing. And that's something that will really help you to start feeling the exercise. So we can think generally even with your squat. So a lot of you who were with me last week during our live workout, so as soon as you start slowing that down and taking anywhere longer than just that one count. So if you even give yourself, this is more for those of you who aren't feeling the workout. So of course, I'm going to give you that side note. Of course, I always have a predetermined tempo that I would love for you to do the workout at. That is the ideal tempo. So if you're not feeling the exercises, you may need to go slower. And I want you to go slower. You may even need to go 5 counts down and 5 counts up, just to make sure you are feeling that workout. You're taking momentum completely out of the equation, so that again you can just connect with the muscles that are doing the work. So the second one I talked about is the motion. Okay, so how much you're moving, or how you're moving, and this can change based on the type of exercise that you're doing. If you're working in a really big range of motion, there are parts of that range that will be less intense, and that's normal. That's just how it works. An example would be something like a dumbbell chest press. When you're doing that dumbbell chest press and you extend your arms and you bring those dumbbells all the way together at the top, right at the top, you may not feel your chest muscles quite as much. I still would ideally love for you to go through that full range of motion so that we're training that full range. But I want you to keep in mind that you're going to feel it a lot more at that bottom part of the motion. And so this is why you can pair certain exercises together. But if you're someone who, given our chest press exercise, if you don't feel it at all, so as I'm mentioning, so ideally you'll feel it at the bottom and you may feel it less at the top. So if you don't feel it anywhere in your chest, you may want to try an isometric version of that exercise. So isometric is when you're not actually moving. So you can take your dumbbells and you can hold those weights, just a couple inches above your chest and hold it. So now we're not even moving. So this sort of does tie us into sort of that number one and slowing things down, because really the slowest you can go is not moving. But this really helps you to focus on squeezing the muscle instead of focusing on the movement. So I'm giving you that chest example, but you can do this for any exercise. All right. So if you're not feeling it, do an isometric version. I want you to hold that. For some exercises, you may only need to hold it for 5 or 10 seconds and you'll start to feel it. For some of them, you may have to hold it longer, and that's okay. Hold it for 30 seconds, because what's going to happen there is you'll really connect your brain to that muscle. Then when you start to move through that motion, you're going to have a bit more of a connection. So as I mentioned at the top, you're going to feel it less. But once you've connected with your chest, so I can feel that my chest is contracted at the top, even though I don't feel it as intense as I felt it at the bottom. I'm going to move into our third point, which was how much weight you're using. So oftentimes you may be trying to lift too much weight. I know, I said it. So of course I am always trying to get you to challenge yourself and increase the weight you're lifting, push those limits. So this is not for those of you who are feeling your workouts, you're feeling the muscles. This is more for those of you who are not feeling it. You may be pushing too much weight, which means you could be then almost going too fast to sort of push or pull it because it's a little heavy for what you can handle. Or you may be actually recruiting more muscles than you should be to try to push that heavier weight. So what I'm going to suggest you try is actually decrease the weight, and you're going to put the effort into pushing this heavy weight into squeezing that muscle. So the example I'm going to give you for this one is your biceps. So with no weight, you have your elbow bent at 90 degrees. I want you to flex that bicep and so just hold it. So we're doing that isometric hold. So I'm squeezing my bicep, I'm shortening it here, and I'm really flexing it. Okay, so I can feel that bicep. Now I'm going to continue that squeeze, and I'm going to shorten that muscle. So I'm going through that motion and I'm continuing to feel that squeeze. So I'm really focusing on that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll run out of room, my table is here, but I could go all the way down and repeat that. Just really focus on that squeeze with no weight. Now, I want you to pick up a weight and make sure you're feeling that same squeeze. So I can guarantee you're probably going to have to pick up a lighter weight than you're used to be able to feel that squeeze. So again, lifting heavy isn't always bad. Okay, this is just for those of you who can't feel those muscles engaging that you're supposed to be using. So if you are able to do that exercise and you feel your biceps, you're getting a good biceps burn, great. You can keep it going. Same thing with that row. If you're able to squeeze your shoulder blade at the top of a row, that's a great weight for you. I bring up the row because that's another one I find people are often using too heavy of a weight for, and then they're not getting the same squeeze in between their shoulder blades that really you should be getting. The row is, in my opinion, for all of us, one of the most important exercises because we spend a lot of time at our computer and we really need to compensate that sort of forward position. So if you're not getting that squeeze in your row, lighten your weight, even do it without weight, squeeze those shoulder blades, feel that squeeze, and make sure that you can feel that squeeze with your row. And the fourth and final one is, can you even contract the muscle that we're trying to work. So a common example for this one would be your glutes. Okay, so your body could actually be compensating, and maybe your glutes are not actually firing. So this is where you're going to really need to focus on releasing your hips through some mobility, maybe some self-myofascial release with a lacrosse ball or foam roller. You can also roll your glutes to try to stimulate those muscles, and that will help your body do a better job of firing them. And you may also have to just spend a lot of time after you've done some release for your hips is doing some like really rudimentary glute work to train those glutes to fire. If you're trying to get them to fire through some of the more complex exercises and you do just have a bit of a problem firing those glutes, it's going to be so much harder. So you will have to take the time to do that sort of rehab work outside of these workouts to make sure that the proper muscles are firing. So I use the example of glutes, but there's lots of others. There could be your shoulder stabilizers, your abdominals. And so make sure, this is why I am always talking about adding in that mobility work and making sure that you have, just a great range of motion. You can activate the muscles that you need to in all of the ranges. But this also may even be something that you need the help of, let's say, some physiotherapy or acupuncture. So be sure to reach out to me if any of these 4 things, or I should say, please try these 4 items, and that should help a lot of your problems. If you're still having trouble, then most often that number 4 is probably the culprit, where that muscle is not doing a good job of contracting. So I can definitely help you out. I can also refer you. I know a great physio that I can send you to who also does acupuncture. And I would love to just make sure that you are feeling everything with every workout, because again, I really truly just want you to be getting the biggest bang for your buck. We're here, we're setting this time aside for ourselves, so I want you to make sure that you are getting the benefits that you deserve, because we are here to get ourselves to those fitness goals, and of course I want to help you as best I can. So be sure to leave any comments you have below, and I will get back to you, and I look forward to seeing you this week on the internet. Take care.